College Basketball Review Studio. Matt Majinski, Dan Siegel, Ariel Puderman. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It is March Madness, so we are diving deep into our college basketball content. In the past couple of weeks, we've been releasing more episodes lately. Part 1, Part 2 of our mid-major conference tournament previews. They're already out. Conference tournaments in those previews are still going on, so make sure to check them out to see if we got our picks correct. But this is Part 3 of our conference tournament episodes of the mid-majors because this is really Champ Week. Look, that first week I love. It gets us kind of prepped into Champ Week. I actually kind of love the first week almost better in a way. But then Champ Week rolls around, and there's just more games. There's power conference games, but we still have these mid-major games. So, guys, let us dive right into it, and we will start with the Conference USA bracket. Interesting bracket here, obviously. There's teams that are, getting buys and teams that are playing on Tuesday, and then obviously some teams already go ahead and play on Thursday. Am I looking at that correct? What do you guys think about this bracket?
It's a 2-day quarterfinal, so like Liberty and Sam Houston, the top 2 seeds, they'll play, and then they go automatically to Friday, while those other seeds, they don't have that 1 day in between. So it's a little weird, I agree, but it kind of makes sense at the same time.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. It's just the way that they decided to make this bracket, I had to do a double check. I was like, hold on a second here. Am I missing something? So either way, we're going to pick our games like usual, guys. We'll go Ariel, we'll go Dan, and we'll go myself. So Ariel, who do you have out of Conference USA?
I have Liberty. I know that they've struggled as of late, but they dominated this conference all season long. I think it took till like mid-February for them to even drop a conference game. And they have the most talent. They have a great coach. So while I think Sam Houston can give them a run, and New Mexico State, sneaky dark horse, I think Liberty is the team to beat here.
You said they lost their first conference game in mid-February, which is true. They did win the conference by 4 games as well, but they have been on a very downward trajectory. They've lost 3 of 4. No major injuries. It's just the defense has fallen apart. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Sam Houston State. And they're actually ahead of Liberty in the predicted metrics. Po' Boy King is the leading scorer for Sam Houston State. He missed the last 2 games for the Bearcats, but I think he's expected to play in this tournament, and I think their fate will be better in this one. They lost to Liberty in the season finale, but that was without King. With King, I think they'll win. So I'm actually going to go with a little bit of a dark horse, or a little bit of an upset, the 2 seed, Sam Houston.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Liberty as well, Ariel. Literally for the same reason. You kind of took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, they've been struggling lately, but they are far and away still from top to bottom. The body of work is still the best in the conference, and they have the coach that has the pedigree that knows how to make sure, hey, we're going to turn this around for conference tournament time. But they'll still have to win 3 games across a 4-day period. So it's still going to be a difficult thing for Liberty. It's not like they have a bye to the semifinals like some teams do. One team I want to keep an eye on, guys, is Middle Tennessee. They have Kamari Lands, who leads the team in points per game. They've won 5 straight, but their 5 straight are over Delaware, UTEP, New Mexico State, FIU, and Missouri State, the 5 bottom teams in the conference. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, CUSA was almost like a Sunbelt in a way. Delaware was last place in the conference and still won 6 conference games. Some of these teams won 8 conference games. Definitely a conference that doesn't really have a team that is just awful in winning 2 or 3 conference games. Competitive at the bottom of this conference. So keep an eye on Middle Tennessee. I think they could give Liberty a run for their money if they meet in the semifinals. But if you're Liberty, you just lost a game pretty bad to Western Kentucky a couple weeks ago. I think they're very much hoping that they can avoid them and have Sam Houston beat them because it's a Liberty team that just beat Sam Houston. I don't think either team's going to be easy to beat, but that's just one note I wanted to make on the Flames case. All right, let's move on to the American Championship. Kind of tough to read this one, but obviously you've got South Florida down there, and I can't read at the bottom of the bracket. Yeah, Wichita State at the bottom of the bracket. And you obviously have other teams as well, like Tulsa, who didn't have the bye to the semifinals, but clearly Tulsa had a very good season as well. So there's a lot of teams to like here out of the American. So back to you, Ariel, on your pick.
I'm going to start by saying Memphis at 8. Yikes. I mean, what a season they had. And they were 10 until they beat UAB in that season finale. I think it was UAB. Or it was Tulane, I think, actually. But regardless, it's crazy to see them in that last row. They're going to have to win a couple games in a row for Penny to get back into March Madness. One team that won't, though, is South Florida. They've won 9 straight games. Isaiah Nelson is a monster down low. He can rebound, defend, score, do everything. Then Wes Enos as well. He's dangerous from three. I think he hit 100 threes this season, which was a South Florida record. And they've just kind of ran away with this conference after it was pretty chaotic for most of the season. And they're looking like a dangerous team in March as well. So I like South Florida to win this one. I think Tulsa's going to be a team to watch, but right now it's South Florida versus the rest of the conference, in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah, Brian Hodgson, what an admirable job he's done. We've talked about that. They're a borderline top 50 team in the predictive metrics, and they have a tendency to just run teams out of the building. Like they're great in the half court, great in transition. I do think Wichita State could easily beat them in the championship. I wouldn't pick that to happen. I could see it happening, though. They got this 5'10" veteran guard, Kenyon Giles. He is second in the conference in scoring. They have, if you remember, from Purdue, buried on the bench, but this big who transferred over. His name is Will Berg. So he could be a great little matchup for your guy Nelson that you mentioned on South Florida. But yeah, I'm gonna go with South Florida, the safer pick here.
I'm actually going to go with Tulsa here. Like, I really like the South Florida pick, but I just like that Tulsa kind of escaped them where they wouldn't have to play South Florida until the championship game. And they shoot the lights out of the ball. South Florida as a team at 39%. David Green, Miles Barnstable, and Aide Papula all at over 40% from the field. Tyrone Riley and Jalen Lawal all both at a 35% or better. And then you've got Ramad Dean, who also plays a little bit sparingly off the bench, but can also really hit the three. I mean, this team, just top to bottom, is just three-point shooters, one after another. If they go against South Florida, obviously Isaiah Nelson and just USF as a team is just a great rebounding team. They obviously can control the paint in that way. And, Tulsa doesn't miss a lot of shots. So I think the big thing there is if you're not missing shots, you don't allow the other team to have an advantage for like offensive rebounds, second chance points on their end, or defensive rebounds to get out in transition. So I just like that matchup for Tulsa. If they get there and play South Florida, which in all likelihood is a matchup we definitely could see. So yeah, give me the Golden Hurricane winning the American. Let's move on to our next one is the Atlantic 10 Conference Championship. It's in Pittsburgh this year, March 11th to the 15th. Always a great tournament because it ends on Selection Sunday, and it's kind of fun to see some A10 ball. I feel like, a lot of people keep up with it, but maybe don't watch the A10 until that Sunday. And hey, for those people that do that, you're getting some great basketball here. And this year, better than past years where it was clearly a one-bid league. Could have a couple teams make it this year, but only one for sure will. So who do we have as the automatic bid?
I've been struggling with this one, honestly, because as you all know, St. Louis has been struggling, but they beat VCU pretty comfortably. And then you got a team like St. Joe's, who's the hottest team, but they're not the best team on paper. A Dayton team who was kind of hot recently, but with Anthony Grant, you can never trust them to win the big one. And then teams like George Mason, George Washington, teams that had a little bit of higher expectations. Matt and I were probably the biggest George Washington fans at the beginning of the season, but you can see that 9 next to their name. So I really don't know. I'm just going to go safe and say St. Louis. I trust Josh Hurts and Robbie Avila to get it done here, but they're far from a lock. I think that VCU is going to be really competitive, but for the time being, I'm going to stick with the safe pick and go St. Louis.
I'll go with the Rams. There's a lot of Rams. I'll go with VCU. They're my pick. They won 13 of 14. Their one loss in the past 14 games was a double-digit loss to St. Louis, and I think that happened twice. I do look at both of those games, and I see that VCU just went uncharacteristically cold from three. St. Louis is also an incredible defensive team, but lately, not so much in terms of defending open threes and closing out and not allowing those shots. So because of the uncharacteristic issues that St. Louis has had lately, I think I'm going to go with VCU to have a much better, much more fortunate night from beyond the arc in the conference championship game and secure their bid in the NCAA tournament. I will say a team you haven't even mentioned yet, Davidson. I don't think they're going to win the conference, but like a nice little dark horse. This is the best team that Matt McKillop, Bob's son, has had, and the thing that just concerns me is they're awful at shooting free throws. But I do want to give a shout out to the Wildcats there.
I'm really going back and forth, guys, on this one as well. Like, part of me does want to go with VCU just because they have been playing some great basketball, but I'm going to go with St. Louis just because, Dan, like I'm with you. They haven't looked characteristic, but I think that Josh Hurts is a guy that can make sure that they are. Like, he can get them ready for this tournament. They have a couple more days to prepare. They escape, obviously, some other teams at the bottom half of the bracket that look kind of scary. Like they escaped VCU, obviously, for a while, St. Joe's for a while. And one thing I want to mention, too, this tournament's in Pittsburgh. Like Duquesne, if Duquesne plays VCU, how much of a home advantage will that be for them? Like that could knock out the Rams, surprisingly. Duquesne hasn't been great, but they're still the 7 seed. And, I mean, look, like you never know if that turns into a little bit of a home game. It's tough. So I'm going to go with St. Louis. That's not my main reason, the Duquesne point, but it definitely is something to watch if that is a quarterfinal matchup because you never know, conference tournament time. You can take all the edge that you will get. All right, let's move on to the next one. Finally, a bracket that is easy to read here. It is the Big West Conference Tournament. Look, another tournament that decided, hey, we're going to give UC Irvine and Hawaii buys to the semifinals. And guys, I think those are clearly the best 2 teams in this conference, but you can't rule out some of the other ones. Like this is still a pretty good conference. I believe I was looking at the net rankings for conferences, and the Big West is like not bad for a mid-major. So who do we have winning the 8-team Big West?
All the mid-major tournaments left, this is probably my favorite one and the one I'm most excited for because I genuinely believe all 8 teams can win. Even Cal Poly. I mean, we saw them beat UC Irvine and Hawaii, and I think they beat UCSB back-to-back. So they're a team that can surprise everyone. We obviously know about UC Santa Barbara. UC Irvine and Hawaii are both great teams, and CSUN was the hottest team for most of February. But I'm going to go with the 5 seed UC San Diego to make a return to the NCAA tournament. No Eric Olin. He's off at New Mexico, but they haven't really skipped a beat. I guess considering where they were last year, they have missed a little bit, but they're still a really strong team. They had the best record in February and March of any Big West team at 7-2. They've really balanced scoring, and their defense is really impressive as well. So I think that they can trip up a team like CSUN, and I think UC Irvine, while the record was impressive, and obviously they have the 1 next to their name, they look very beatable, especially in February. So I think UC San Diego surprises a lot of people and takes this one.
Yeah, this one was difficult for me as well. I was looking at UC Irvine, obviously, first. Like the top 2 seeds, UC Irvine and Hawaii. The thing I worry about with them is the dynamic scoring. I don't think they have enough of it, especially Hawaii. They don't have a single player with more than 35 3-pointers this year. UC Irvine does have a guy, Jurian Dixon, who has been very hot. So that could be huge for them, especially with, like Matt mentioned, they get a bye to the semifinals. That is huge. The one team I also looked at was Cal State Northridge, looking for their first tournament since 2011, but they've lost 3 of 4. And Cal State Fullerton sub 200. Like I looked all over and I ended up just back at the 1 seed. I know I'm being boring, but I ended up back with UC Irvine. I think of all the units, like all the offenses and all the defenses, the best unit is the UC Irvine defense in this conference. And just like if I'm a betting man, like all these other teams behind them just have more games to win. So it's going to be UC Irvine. That's where I'm arriving back at.
I'm going to go with UC Irvine as well. Like, we haven't really mentioned him in this episode, but Russ Turner is just one of the best coaches. He always knows how to get it done win-wise. He's led this team to the NCAA tournament before. They only need to win 2 games to get there. But here's the biggest thing for me, guys, is in close games, especially at the start of the conference season, UC Irvine lost a lot of them. You go back to the start of this conference season, and you look at games that were settled within a few possessions, right? They played Hawaii, and they lost at Hawaii by 1. They lost at UC Davis by 3. They ended up winning at UC San Diego by 2 back then. Then they had another 5-point loss at Santa Barbara and by 6 to Cal Poly. So, and then another one, by the way, UC San Diego by 2. So other than like 1 win in there, all the other like single-digit close games were decided by the other team. And then after that UC San Diego loss, they put together a 1-point win over Cal State Northridge and a 4-point win over Santa Barbara, and then they blew out Cal Poly and they blew out UC Davis. Just seems like maybe a new confidence in this team where they said, hey, we got a couple close wins down. Now let's just go out and play our game, because that seemed to me to be holding them back a little bit. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading too deep into that. I obviously didn't have enough time to like look at these games and see exactly how they ended. And I'm sure that would change my opinion on that, because like close game on a box score doesn't necessarily represent close game the way it ended. But for that reason, I do like UC Irvine. It just seems like they've been playing some good ball lately. And I feel like they're a good team to trust when it comes to March. All right, we got a couple more in our mid-major episode. Here we got the WAC So very small bracket, guys. Just 7 teams make the WAC tournament. It's obviously a very small conference, so hence 7 teams making it. Utah Valley is the 1 seed. Obviously, some interesting stuff, with them not too long ago. And then you've got Cal Baptist as the 2 seed, who a lot of people were like, oh, well, maybe this is going to have to be the automatic qualifier because of what's going on with Utah Valley's situation. So after all that, this is what we have for the bracket. It's a very quick tournament, guys, but again, it feels like one that maybe anyone could win because there's only a few teams to choose from.
Yeah, I just mentioned how I'm most excited for the Big West. I'm definitely the least excited for this tournament. I mean, like you mentioned, 7 teams and not really any great teams, if we're being honest. Utah Valley is definitely the best one, in my opinion, even though them and Cal Baptist kind of went back and forth all season. But I think they're the team to beat. They've won 6 straight, and I think now it's personal for them with the way that this whole situation's played out and them being banned and then them getting a restraining order. And who knows, the WAC might even pull a fast one and kick them out right after they win the tournament. But until they do that, I think that they're going to play with fire. And unfortunately for UTA or in Southern Utah, they stand no chance. So I'll go with the 1 seed again here.
I'm going to go with a pick that the WAC commissioner's office will be much more appreciative of. I'm going to go with Cal Baptist. I know Cal Baptist has been prone to dropping these offensive, just clunker performances, but they've had 80-plus points in their final 3 games. And no, they got a couple bigs that are very efficient. They got this guy, Dominique Daniels, this guard, who's in his 3rd year in the program, and he's an absolute bucket. He could score from anywhere. In his last 10 games, 8 times he scored 20-plus points. Of course, he had only 12 in a recent loss to Utah Valley. But I'm going to go with Cal Baptist, and Dominic Daniels is going to be the name to know.
I think he scored 49 in a game once this season.
I would not be surprised.
I'm going to go with an interesting pick here. I'm going to go with the 3 seed Utah Tech. It's probably not the popular pick, but I look at a Utah Valley team, guys, that's averaging 14 turnovers per game. So a little bit careless with the ball. Utah Tech averages 7 or 8 steals per game. They beat Utah Valley once during the season. They lost the second time around. They've played them very recently, once in February and I believe once in early March. And they had the win by 4 and they had a loss in double overtime. So Utah Tech clearly knows what it takes to stay with this Utah Valley team. They obviously escaped them being on the bottom side of the bracket until potentially the championship game. And I just like the defense they bring. They bring some offense too, guys. This Trailblazers team has Ethan Potter averaging 16 a game, Chance Trujillo averaging 12.3, along with Noah Belanga, and Jason Holt averaging 12 a game. So they have 4 players that average 12 or more points per game. They're not outstanding in a lot of other facets of the game other than defense, and they've got 4 scorers there. They do rebound the ball pretty well, though. They rely on Potter to do a lot of stuff. I don't know. I just think top to bottom, it's an intriguing team. Like you guys mentioned, this is not a tournament that really is going to matter too much. It's going to be over. It's going to start and be over just like that. But, hey, it gets a bid to the tournament nonetheless. Ariel, it will be interesting to see what happens because I just feel like we don't – the situation's over, but it isn't, So we'll see what happens there. All right, and let us move on now to the Mountain West. A bigger bracket here. Again, I know it might be small for you guys to read, but we promise there is a bracket out in front of you and a lot of teams playing in the Mountain West tournament. This isn't a 5-bid Mountain West that we've been used to over the past couple of years, but they still could see a couple teams make it. But obviously one team wants to make sure they get in. So who do we have winning the Mountain West?
I don't know. It feels like every team doesn't want to win the Mountain West. We saw Utah State really struggle at the end of the season. San Diego State the same. Even New Mexico, they had lost a couple games where they could have easily just slid into the 1 seed spot. So I'm going to go with the 4 seed here, Grand Canyon. We just talked about the WAC and how they used to dominate that, and I think that they get their share here in the Mountain West. We know Bryce Drew knows what it takes to win these big tournaments, and I just think that they've looked really impressive. They got a great guard and Jaden Henley who could score, and their defense is really what gets me because they have the 18th ranked defense on Ken Palm, and as they say, defense wins championships. I think that they have a very favorable matchup, a Utah State team that shoots a lot and a team that they match up with well, I think. And I think that either that Nevada or Air Force, well, I assume Nevada is going to win that game. I think that's a good matchup for them as well. So it could really go to anyone. I think that this is as wide open as it gets, but I like Grand Canyon here.
I agree that's as wide open as it gets, and appreciate the love for Grand Canyon. That was like my preseason darling. Didn't love him as much as I've watched him, but yeah, like San Diego State, I think is a better defensive team than Grand Canyon is. New Mexico's they've had some freshmen that have been really good. There's one dark horse team. I'm going Boise State, a team that just like will outmuscle the rest of the conference. I think I'm going to do the same as I did with UC Irvine. I'm going to just go back. When in doubt, just it's wide open. I'm not taking anybody versus the field, but I'm going to go back to the 1 seed Utah State. And I like the UNLV game 2 games ago. They got smoked by UNLV, as you can see on the bracket. They're in the playing game to play Utah State. That made absolutely zero sense whatsoever, that result. I still don't know what happened, but they bounced back offensively with the win over New Mexico. MJ Collins in particular got his act together. I'm going to go back to Utah State. Same thing. Like, I know it's boring logic. It's wide open, but I think the safest pick is the 1 seed here.
Well, Dan, you mentioned the team that I'm going with in this tournament, and I feel like this is maybe my shock of the episode. I'm taking Boise State to win the Mountain West. Look, guys, this is a Boise State team that's on the longest winning streak currently in the Mountain West. Dylan Andrews, their senior guard. Yes, that Dylan Andrews that started the career at UCLA and transferred to Boise State here for his senior season, is playing some of his best basketball in the winning streak. He had a 20-point game in the win against Wyoming. He had 13 against San Diego State on 5 field goals. So for him to be able to play 34 minutes and only shoot 5 times, he had 5 turnovers. I'm not going to act like it was a perfect game, but it just seems like he knows his role at this point. Against Colorado State, the last game, 19 points. Javon Buchanan had 26 against Fresno. And Drew Fielder, 33 against San Diego State and 23 against Colorado State after being held scoreless in 25 minutes at Fresno State. It was almost like the light just turned on for him after that game. I like the draw that Boise State has. You look at their draw in the Mountain West. They get San Jose State in round 1. They get a New Mexico team that we've mentioned just doesn't look like they really want to prove that they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. And then potentially another game against San Diego State or Utah State, but you never know because none of these teams have been playing great. Boise State's the only team that has gone out there and won their games recently. So I'm going with the Broncos to continue that. And I just think it'd be an awesome story. Like, hey, first game of the season, this team loses to Hawaii Pacific. And we all write Boise State off and say, they have no chance to make the at-large. The committee better not put them on the bubble because – they lost to a D3 team. They should never make the tournament. And imagine if they just go out there and say, joke's on you. We're going to get in one way or another. Give me the Broncos to win the Mountain West.
Can we put Hawaii Pacific in there as well then?
I think we need to.
Hawaii Pacific is doing great in their Division II tournament. I know that.
Could they win one game? I'll ask you guys real quick. Could Hawaii Pacific win a game in the Mountain West if they were the 13 seed going against 12 seed Air Force?
Yeah. Maybe Air Force. Air Force is really bad, but
I think they could probably
in the Mountain West.
I think they could probably beat half the teams on the screen right now, though, like easily. No disrespect on the MEAC.
Oh yeah, no, you're not. Just to end that conversation, Hawaii Pacific went 18-11 overall, but like Air Force is also very very bad. But Hawaii Pacific lost to Point Loma 95-66. I don't know what that means, but I don't know if that is good. I don't know. The Boise State, that was just crazy. Let's go on to the MEAC, guys. We got a few more to break down. This bracket, I love the design here. Giving us the logos. We don't even know the team names because obviously everyone knows the MEAC logos from the top of their heads. We all follow this conference, and we know MEAC logos. I know that's Howard. I know that's Boise State. I honestly couldn't tell you all of these. But one team is getting a bid to March. Who do we have winning it?
Disappointing you don't know all these. You're going to have to take a quiz after this. And if you don't get over 75%, then Dan gets to host the next episode. Dan was actually also talking about how much he likes the bracket just because it's a left-to-right bracket, which is pretty cool. But I'm going Howard here. I mean, 9 straight wins. 8 of those are by 18+. They're the biggest betting favorite of any conference tournament champion in all of college basketball. And I just don't think any team can even compete with them right now. Just they've been dominating. They have the most talent. They have the most money. So easy pick here.
Yep, agreed. They're the only team in the conference that's above 500 on the season. They're 224 in Torvik. Second place is Norfolk State. Norfolk State is the 4 seed, but second place in the predictives. 333. That's the second best predictive metrics team in this conference. 2 leading scorers in the conference also belong to Howard: Cedric Taylor and Bryce Harris. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, like I want to go Norfolk State because I know they get in more often than not, but they got blown out by Howard the first time around, and they lost by 8 the last time around. So I'll go with Howard in this one. I don't have much more to say by that other than like Norfolk State always seems to find a way, so you can't count them out. But like Howard is definitely the pick here. It's funny because usually this conference ends up being like the worst rated team in the NCAA tournament, but with Lehigh now projected to win the Patriot League, Lehigh is now the worst team if you're going by the net rankings. So just props to the MEAC for that. They might survive that, like, whatever you want to call that award given to like the worst team in the tournament. It hopefully isn't going to be out of the MEAC this year. So good things going on for that conference there. We got a couple more, I believe, the MAC and the Ivy. We got the MAC up next, though, and that is, of course, Miami, Ohio's tournament to win or lose, and they've got Akron standing in their way as the 2 seed. And they've got pretty much every other team. It doesn't matter if a team went 0-20 in this conference. They're going to want to beat Miami. Everyone wants to be the first team to give them their first loss and obviously take a rival out of potentially being in the NCAA tournament, which is one of the stupidest arguments. I don't even want to have it with you guys because I know we all think that they should be in either way. So we're not even going to entertain that. All we're going to say is who's going to win this bracket.
It's funny. It feels like everyone's already penciled in Akron to win this just because their metrics are better, but Miami hasn't lost a game, and they beat Akron in a head-to-head earlier in the season. And maybe you can argue Akron's been the better team, but they've also had a couple close games against teams that they should have beat pretty easily. Obviously, Miami's are showcased more, but I still like Miami, Ohio to win this conference tournament. I think that they know how to win. They would know how to win these close games, which is super important, especially in these tournament settings where a lot of teams are playing a little bit harder. A lot of teams are making shots that usually they don't make. And I think Miami's been built for these situations. I think their luck will come out eventually, but they've shown time and time again they can win these games. And with Akron, yes, Tavari Johnson's incredible and the Mahafis are great, but with Peter Suter and all those guys, I think that they have enough to get it done and continue this unbeaten streak. I also think it's them too. Let's be honest, no other teams are going to make it. So maybe you guys disagree, but that's why I'm talking about these 2 teams, because I think they're really the only teams that should and will make the finals. But I still like Miami here. I'm sure you guys will have some thoughts as well, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Matt, you said you didn't want a discussion on this. The only thing I'll say is Miami could lose to my Massachusetts Minutemen, and they should still be a lock to beat the tournament. Secondly, I think, Akron's the best in the predicted metrics, sure. I think they're going to win because when I look at a team like Akron, ignore like the first game that they played. I think the way to beat Akron, we'll see if they win the conference and get a bad draw. But the way to beat Akron is just you need a team that plays through their bigs. You need to see this is not the Enrique Freeman Akron team. They don't have like a dog inside, right? They need someone that's going to play through their bigs, and I don't think that's Miami. It's going to be a playmaking shooting competition. I think Akron could beat Miami in that. Number 3 Kent State, they don't really profile well to beat Akron either. I think I agree. I think it's going to be Miami against Akron. It's going to be probably the highest profile MAC game of all time. I don't think that's a stretch.
MAC game of all time. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I think it's important. I mean, unfortunately, again, I didn't want to discuss it, but unfortunately it is a discussion. At least we think it is. This is just the media telling us this. The committee might just be laughing and saying, hey, Miami's like an 8 seed right now, and you guys are just being silly. But I think Kent State can give Akron a run for their money. I don't know. I know I've talked about Del Recco Gillespie before. I think he's an outstanding player. I mean, he can just really just dominate with just the way that he plays and the physicality there. But I'm not going to say that I think they're going to beat Akron solely because of him. I am going to go Akron in this conference tournament. I'll be honest. I do think that I'm on the Miami train. I love this Miami team. If you guys can't tell already, it's weird that there's people out there that are kind of rooting for them to lose. And I don't think it's just Cincinnati fans. It seems like there's people that are oh, this fraud team needs to lose. I'm do you guys ever have fun? This is the best story in college basketball. We should all be having fun with it. And yet somehow there's people that are like, oh, I hate how power conference basketball is taken over and ruined the sport. But in that same breath, oh, screw Miami. Like they shouldn't be here. It's like, no, they've been just fun. Travis Steele's been fun. The program's been fun. But with that being said, I do think that Akron is the better team, guys. Like on paper, I've watched the games, and Miami definitely can win this game. But that defense just scares me. And yeah, give me Akron.
Let me close on one thought, right? Because I'm the statistician, I think, of the three of us. If you were to put a 90% probability, right? If you say Miami's 90% chance of winning every game, and you do that 31 times, there's less than like a 0.1% chance that you win 31 times still. So just make that of what you will.
And they're going to win 3 more times in this conference tournament.
And 6 more times.
That's where we'll have to have a different conversation. But I like where your head's at.
Let's go. 40-0 Miami is on the table. I believe this is our last one of the mid-majors, guys. It is the Ivy League. There are 4 teams here, so don't try and throw Dartmouth around or any other team that didn't make this bracket. It is Yale, it is Cornell, it is Harvard, it is Penn. Who's winning Ivy Madness in Ithaca?
It's Yale. They shoot 40% from 3. That's 3rd best in the country, and Nick Townsend's just too good. I mean, I was honestly really disappointed with this Yale team. They lost a lot of games that they should have won pretty easily. A lot of head scratchers, but even with that being said, I think they're the best team in this conference, and they're going to win this.
Yeah, this is a similar kind of Bulldogs team that everybody has appreciated when they've made 4 of the last 5 NCAA tournaments, winning the conference title in all those years. I think they're going to make it 5 of 6. Yale split the regular season with Cornell, so that is worth noting. They hung 102 in a blowout at home. They lost on the road. Cornell's also 336 in defensive efficiency in the country, so I'm expecting more of the hanging 102 kind of thing to happen. And Yale moves on and then beats Harvard or Penn. Not sure who wins that one, but they'll win. They'll beat either team.
Guys, we talk about power conference teams avoiding Miami. Talk about power conference teams with the exception of Alabama avoiding Yale. And there's a reason why. Because when you look at the non-conference, Yale played so many teams that are mid-majors, that are favorites, or like right up there at the top of their mid-major conferences. And I just want to run through these to you. With the exception of a loss to Rhode Island, they won at Navy. Remember how we were all surprised Navy lost to Boston U, and I was saying Navy was a top 100 team going into the season? And I was kind of right. Navy did have a really good year, although metrics would still say they might not even be a top 200 team. Yale won that game by 30. At Quinnipiac, a Quinnipiac team that right up there in the MAAC, Yale won that game by 40. And I'm roughly averaging right here. It was like 39 and 37, or 29 and 37. Charleston, 11-point win for Yale. Akron, they won by 3. They won by 3 at Vermont. They beat UIC, who was playing in the MVC championship, by 14. Like, Yale beat these teams. Ivy League, you're going to lose some games. These teams know you. They play them twice a year, every year. Weird scheduling where it's like Friday and what is it, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday?
I think
like
it's
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird scheduling. So obviously you're not going to win every game when you have to play weird schedules like that. But like, honestly, like when you look at the metrics, like Yale in any other year, if they might have like lost like 1 or 2 less, we could be talking about them as an at-large team. And I mean that all the way. Like, I think if it was a 3-loss Yale right now, we would be saying like, if Yale loses a 4th game, like, could they get in? I don't think they would, but I don't know.
They beat Auburn 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
They did.
2 or 3, and then the tournament, yeah.
And then Princeton beat Arizona and Mizzou the year before. So Ivy League guaranteed win almost. People are saying.
The year that I was going to say the year that UVA lost to UMBC, people forget, but there was there's an Ivy League team 16 up on Kansas, and by 10 in the second half.
It was Penn, yeah.
Penn, yeah.
Jeez, the Ivy's always great, and again, I'll close on this. Yale is Connecticut's team. We need to make sure we get one team in the tournament because I'm not sure who else will get to the NCAA tournament out of the state of Connecticut, and who else is worthy. And Yale seems to be the most worthy team. So I'll leave us out on that as we go into our power conference tournament bit. Hey, Ariel, I hope that our viewers got that bit more than they did your Twitter bit the other day, because that was embarrassing.
Yeah. Hey, the one that mattered got big, so that's all that matters. Give me a follow on Twitter, everyone, at RLCBB.
You are right. Well, We got to go. We've already released our Power Conference episode, but we got to go record that first so you guys know how this works at home, because podcasting is not as easy as you guys think. So we're going to go record that. Hopefully you enjoyed that Power Conference episode and this mid-major tournaments episode, and we will see you guys on Selection Sunday.